Good morning, Rabbi Isai. Welcome to one and all. So I have a very long email here, also a very long clip that I was asked to show. So I'm going to start with the email. Dear Rabbi, flying back to New York, I can't help but think of how to express my cards this past week. I started writing another You Changed My Life email, but decided to alter that course. I think it's required upon all who feel this change. I like a lot of the stuff he says there. I think we could all use this. And our cards to find a way to pay it forward in any way that a person can, not just financially on each person, but also with the koiches and positivity. In a family dynamic, each member usually has some type of job, large and small. Example, my son always gives out the benchers on Shabbat. By being part of this MDY family, Hashem is telling us that we are meant to have these siblings and cousins in order to interact with them and feel that kesher. What I walked away from this week with, besides for the incredible chizuk and bonding with some amazing people, was that we should all be asking, ask not what the shir can do for me, rather, what can I do for my shir? Bezras Hashem, I'll continue to support MDY as best that I can, but I realize there is always more than I can do. I will make myself available to Yossi and Tomer for the trip next year and even for the Shabbaton logistics if there is any assistance I can provide. So Eli Ashir, he does this for a living. He does very high-end weddings and things like that, parties for celebrities. So he wants to help us out with like high-end Shabbaton. I don't know if we can afford it, but okay. As well as anything else I can do throughout the year. I see how much my life has changed and how I cannot contribute. How can I not contribute towards helping another Yid have the chance to experience the same? Lastly, I think we should come up with a marketing document or video specifically dedicated for each member to use to attract other members. I like this idea a lot. In other words, if we make a professional video, you try to convince somebody to join the daf, so instead of you talking, you just say, hey, watch this for a minute. And the video will show you the highlights of the shir, what the shir is all about, and make it easier for you to recruit somebody. Not a bad idea. People may want to go and bring more friends to the shir, but may not know how. If we have targeted messaging that they can use, I feel this can be super effective. Oh, Kimehe, the Chossen align, Kimehe. Wow. No, you're with your father. There you. Wow. Mazel tov. Wow. Beautiful. On the day of the wedding, chizuk. On the day of your wedding. So is your shomer?
My shomer?
Yeah. Your father's a shomer. So listen, this is one of the biggest MDY shiduchim. Zisha has been with us from how long already? 3 years? 2 years?
2.5 years.
2.5, almost 3 years. Yavamis, from Yavamis. And he's Be'ezer Hashem marrying tonight the famous Yiddi's daughter, Olav Shalom. He was our graphic artist. He was nifted during Corona at a young age of 45-ish. And crazy stories. You learned Lili Nishmasa, didn't you do things for him and this? And you came because of Yiddi. You're here in the shir because Yiddi convinced you to come, and you made from his status, and you made a siyum by his Kever or something, no? By Komas Matzaiva, he made his first siyum ever. He made at the Komas Matzaiva, and all because of Yiddi. And what comes around goes around. What goes around comes around. And here you have a shidduch with Yiddi's daughter. So Be'ez Hashem, the zivuk shall be oily yofazayin. A bunch of us are coming to your chasana, Be'ez Hashem. Yishkoyach for offering me a bracha at the chuppah, but I don't really like that, and I'm coming. No, he did. I'm not joking. Did you not offer me? What? See the Kiddushin, he said. But I'm doing. I have to give a shir. I'm going to turn it down. I don't like that. I'd rather be at the end. We'll make a little dance at the end. All right. Yishkoyach, sorry. Unbelievable. Okay. You thought I was joking. No, he sent me a few emails about it, huh? Yeah, it's unbelievable, Maisa. I didn't even know if we could do it. Oh, okay, fine. Anyways, we're in the middle of this email here. What people don't realize is that there's a setting on WhatsApp that you can go and have certain contexts. Oh, so Rabbi said, listen, he's saying like this. A lot of people don't want to put on their status because they're scared that their non-Jewish associates and people that they know are going to see the status. And what do they have it with the daf? They don't allow. So you could take them off your status. You could block them. There's ways to do it. Educating people how to do this with a step-by-step guide might be all it takes to get Yossi 70,000 goal, which in reality should be raised to at least 100,000. I apologize for the lengthy message. The impact of the preparation on the bus alone gave every single person an even greater appreciation for you and the shir. Maybe one of the most impactful takeaways from the entire week, he says. Givaldik, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to join the shir. This trip and this family, I feel, has improved my life. I do have to apologize for the quality of the shiurim themselves. For me, I felt I wasn't able to prepare like I usually prepare. You guys know I can't function really with a lot of noise. And to say that there's noise on the bus is an understatement. Somebody asked yesterday in one of the emails, like, what shir were you listening to on your headphones? I was listening to music, which I don't really do, while not with words. Just it's called relaxing music. I found on YouTube something. It just repeats itself over and over. Try to block out as much as I can. But with all that, very, very difficult. The bus is going. You only slept an hour and a half. Every night we slept an hour and a half. So on a bus to prepare, not having your svarm, not having your stuff, not having internet for the very, very difficult. But anyway, Baruch Hashem, we're here, and that's over with, and we'll worry about next year a different time. Thank you for the opportunity to join this share in the trip with family. I feel it's improved my life in ways I won't ever be able to fully describe and put me back on track to completing my mission in this world. Wishing the Rav a great Shabbos back home. Eli Ashir, thank you so much. And now, Shalom Aleichem, what's your name? Mendy? Wurzburger. From? Well, you did for the Chasana. Unbelievable. On the day of?
Famous Dr. Wurzburger.
Famous Dr. Wurzburger? What? Cousin. He's also famous in his own right. Okay, so Rabbi said this is not so much an email, but this is like part of what I said by the Chafetz Chaim's Kever, if anybody's interested. We are standing here in front of the Kever of the Heilige Chafetz Chaim. This is the highlight of the trip for many. I want to give a tremendous hakaras hatov to Rabbi Yossi Klein for specifically bring us to here. It's very, very difficult to get here. In the corner and most of the trips to Europe don't include this part of the trip. This is not included, but he knows my history and that my grandfather, Rimord Chasavitsky, learned in Radin, and my closest and how much I mentioned the Chafetz Chaim during the shir, and he knew it would mean a lot to me and to the whole olam to come here. So I want to give a tremendous hakaras hatov. As we're standing here, I want to give you a tremendous, tremendous eitzah before you daven. And just a nekuda and a hara. We know that the Chafetz Chaim wrote the Mishnah Berurah. It took the Chafetz Chaim 22 years. You can finish Shas 3 times if you do Daf Yomi like that. 22 years. The Chafetz Chaim wrote the Chafetz Chaim. The Chafetz Chaim wrote the Shmiras Haloshin, Havas Chesed, a lot of Sfarim and Musar. So a few nekudas that we can learn here. They're very, very important to us. That if you put in the work, the more you work, the better the outcome. Nothing comes easy. The Chafetz Chaim took 22 years, and he has this everlasting sefer that all of Klal Yisrael accepted as the authority in halacha. Everybody quotes it like it was written 700 years ago. The Mishnah Berurah says this, and what a phenomenal piece of work that is. And the Shmiras Haloshin and the Chafetz Chaim, what one human being was able to accomplish. The amount of Torah that people learn every single day because of this one human being is a l'tayr and l'shayr. How much he is missed. We look at our Dar Yosem. He only lived, 90 years ago. How long ago? The Kedusha, the Ruach HaKodesh, the level. We're in a different world now. Pashan in a different world. Baruch Hashem, I was able to find on the bus. I was looking for this Gemara and I found it. I'm very happy. I want to share this very, very big eitzah for every one of us here in this room as we go to be mispal. The Gemara in Bava Basra Daf Amud Beis says that there was a person who Eliyahu took him up to Shemayim, and he said, "You can look everywhere, but do not look at Rebbe." He couldn't control himself, and he looked at Rebbe, and they took 2 torches of fire and they burnt his eyes. Came down to this world, he was blind. He went to Rebbe's Kever, and listen to this. He says these 3 words. Masniyoso demar masnino. Rebbe, 3 words. I learn your brises. In the zechus of the brises that I learned, please heal my eyes.
Daven for me to heal.
He was able to see again. Rabbi said, we all learned Chafetz Chaim's Torah. I think if we go here, Mamish here, this holy Kever, when we say Chafetz Chaim, we learn your Mishnah Berurah, we learn your Shmir Saloshen, we learn your Chafetz Chaim, and that's zechus. Please be mispal for us.
All right. They asked for it.
The Masech responsible for the safe and speedy return of all the hostages. Paras HaChodesh, Linish Mazchai, Moshe Linish Mazchai Bas Yosef. Paras HaChodesh, myself, for Refuah shleima and safe and speedy return of all our Chayalim, matching our belly's donation with zechus Chayalim for the month, and by Dr. Marty Dauber, Moshe Tzvi Dauber, the Paras HaShavua, Chanan Averbuch, in honor of Rabbi Dovid, Schoen of Miami. Paras HaShavua, for zechus, for complete Refuah, for Brocha Avigiel Bas Rachel Gitta, a fellow MDY member's wife. Parnas Hayoim, Avrohom Farkovits, happy birthday to Yisrael Doi Farkovits. Parnas Hayoim, Moshe and Shani Szlafrok. Who's that? The uncle? Parents. Moshe and Shani Szlafrok, in honor of Shua and Shamshi completing Tanakh. Rabbi, I spoke about this last night, but you weren't there. Wow is, you don't even know what wow is. Here's the wow. For Shua's bar mitzvah, by learning about a parak a day over 2 years. They spent 2 years, almost every single day without missing, besides when Shamshi was out of the country. Took him an hour a day for 2 years. Persistence. And another thing, and I said this last night, I'll say it again. I've never in my life been to a bar mitzvah where the boy read the parsha so flawlessly, without a single mistake, without missing a single trop. That I've never seen. I've seen somebody in this parsha, my own son, read Kiseitze, he didn't make a single mistake, but he missed trops. To miss trops, a little asnachta here, a severe over there. Now one trop that I saw. So I've never said, Mamish, you should use those koiches and go. And now I want to say one thing. Shamshi sent, I showed this in the shir, Shamshi's uncle, how old is your uncle?
Probably 67.
67. So he hasn't learned so much in his life. And he picked up the daf 70 days ago. So he comes over to me. He says, I do your daf. I haven't learned much before. I do your daf. And you should know, it has not changed my life. So I'm like, but wait a minute. You're doing the daf. Before you didn't learn, and now you learn, that doesn't count. The whole zach. You didn't change my life. Gets there, all of a sudden his wife walks by. She goes, you know my husband, he does the daf. He never opened up a sefer in his life. He's such a different person. Mikatza. Once again, the wife throws the husband under the bus. I love it. So I said, no, please elaborate. No, he's different over here. He's different with this. He's going on and on and on. He's like, no, it's not okay. Anyway, the daf changes lives. Whether Matas Kas, who needs a Refuah shleima, is still in bed, says it doesn't change. It changes. Don't worry. It changes your life. Rabbi is holding on top of Daf Pei Beis Amud Aleph. So we're talking about a situation where a person buys a tree or two, depending on which man you want to go with, and he gets very little when it comes to the karka. We're talking about the halachas of Bikurim. This week's parasha, we read it yesterday at Mincha. Bikurim. You have fruit from the Shivas Haminim. You go, you take the first fruit, you wrap a band on it, and you bring it to the Beis Hamikdash. You give it to the Kohen puts it next to the Mizbeach, touches the Mizbeach, he eats it. It's like a truma. But the Torah says, "Ha'adama shenosata li." You have to own the karka. So what happens when you don't own the karka? You only own the tree. You bought a tree off somebody. So the Gemara tells us, according to Rabbi, you bring the fruit, but you don't read the psukim. There's 5 psukim that one must read. Here are these 5. We're very familiar with them because we say it in the Agada. Arami Ovid Avi, Vayir Mitzrayim, Vayir Gosham Semaot, Vayir Yosam Mitzrayim, Vanitzak al Hashem, Vayitzienu Hashem Mitzrayim, Vayivienu al Makom. The 5 psukim. You don't read the psukim. Why? So Gemara says you don't really have to read the psukim. If a person brings bikurim, you forgot to say the psukim, he's yaitza bikurim. Oh, but then we have the concept of kolaroy lebila ein bila makeves. If you're able to say the psukim and you don't say them, you're yaitza. But if you cannot say the psukim, it's also for you to say the psukim, and that's why you don't say them. Oh, then you're not mekayim the mitzvah. Ask the Gemara the obvious question that everybody's thinking to themselves. Michti psukim ninu. It's just psukim in the Torah. Likri. What is wrong with reading psukim in the Torah? Let it read 5 psukim in the Torah. You could read psukim all day long, but not when it looks like a lie. For instance, something that reminds me, I don't know if it's exactly the same thing. It says in halacha that you shouldn't say Kriya Shema in the morning if you're not wearing tefillin. Because if you're not wearing tefillin, it looks like you're saying Eidos Sheker. You're saying Ukshartim Lo'iza Yodecha, and you don't have anything on your hand. What are you saying? It's just psukim. Just read. No, you're reading. It looks like a sheker right now. So since you're saying, "Thank you Hashem for these bikurim for the land that you gave me," and you're saying specifically on a specific thing on your land, but you don't own the land, so it looks like you're lying. So it's very interesting. It's kedai to go over these once in a while. You learn another halacha or two, another concept. There's the famous machlokes between the Magen Avraham and the Vilna Gaon. When is Soiv Zman Kriya Shema? Obviously, we all go like the Vilna Gaon because it's another hour. I'm sure there's somebody in this room that's makbid on the Magen Avraham. Anybody here makbid on the Magen Avraham? You're shver. Shamshi is shver. No, he just wants to be on camera, probably. He down for the Amud and he's saying a special niggin, l'chvoidi, yishkoyach. You really makbid on the Magen Avraham? Okay. He gets up anyways early, so what's the big deal? So the whole machlokes in the Magen Avraham, the Vilna Gaon is when do you start? The amount of time is the same. It's 3 hours. The question is, you go 3 hours from the Alois HaShachar or 3 hours from the Netzachama? The Vilna Gaon says you go by the Netzachama. So what happens if a person like Shamshi's father-in-law who goes with the Magen Avraham, but his minyan, like on Shabbos, starts a little later than the Magen Avraham? We're not going to do the Magen Avraham shita. So what does he do? He says Kriya Shema at home and makes a condition. He makes it nice. He says, I'm going to read the Kriya Shema. If the Magen Avraham is right, that this is this man, I'm yoitz with this. If the Magen Avraham is wrong, and I could even go with the Vilna Gaon, so I would like to go with the Vilna Gaon and daven Kriya Shema in shul like a mensch, with all the brachas, with everything, Birkus Kriya Shema. And what I'm saying right now is just psukim. Okay? So that's what you should do. But the question is, when you get to the Vilna Gaon's time, when you're saying it the second time in shul with everybody, do you have to repeat that condition? Do you have to say, I'm saying the Kriya Shema right now, like the Vilna Gaon? If I was yoitze with the Magen Avraham already, then what I'm saying now is psukim. Now, why should you have to do that? Just say it. Who cares? This is a fascinating halacha from the Chafetz Chaim. You're not going to believe this. The Chafetz Chaim says that if somebody, let's say, wakes up late, he gets up at 10:30, 11, and he wants to say Kriya Shema, and he thinks to himself, yeah, okay, the Vilna Gaon says the Zman Kriya Shema, the latest Zman Kriya Shema, it's way past that. It was at 9:30, it's 10:30 now. No, let me, like sometimes you daven mincha after Shkia and you feel a little bad. You're like, let me at least do it. Says the Chafetz Chaim, if there's no such thing as let me at least do it. If you're going to read Kriya Shema after the Zman, you're over Issa D'Oraisa. What's the Issa D'Oraisa? Mo is looking at me like he can't believe it. The Issa D'Oraisa is Baal Toisef. Just like I'm not allowed to take a lulav 5 days after Sukkot and go like this. What's the big deal? You just shook a lulav. No, because you want to be yoitza mitzvah of lulav. If you want to be yoitza the mitzvah of Kriya Shema after the time of Kriya Shema, you're over in Baal Taisef. If you have kavanah stam, I want to say psukim, great. But to have the kavanah of the mitzvah of Kriya Shema, that's awesome. You want to bring a raya from this Gemara that says mechzik kishikra. It's only when the Kriya Shema is a lie. But when I'm reading Kriya Shema, I'm not lying. I didn't do anything. I'm not soiser myself by saying this Kriya Shema. I say Kriya Shema. What's wrong with saying Beautiful. It's only when you're saying psukim of bikurim and you're saying I own a field and you don't own it, that's a problem. That's what they want to bring you right from here. And I thought it's interesting that you would never believe that Metzik Shikra has to do with Kriya Shema, but it does. What's the question? Just read this 5 psukim. What's wrong with saying 5 psukim in the Torah? You're getting a mitzvah for every word you read. No. Why? Because if you bring bikurim, what's the problem? There's a chance that it's not bikurim. Why? Because you don't own the land. We don't know. The Gemara used this lashon suffix. I don't know. So if I don't know, I'm going to just bring bikurim. Don't read the psukim. But if you're going to read the psukim, then people are going to think it's legit. It's a real bikurim, and if it's real bikurim, I don't have to be mafresh truma meiser from those fruit. And we went through the whole sugya on the bottom of Pei Aleph Amud Beis last night. That you take off bikurim, you take off truma meiser from your bikurim, from the actual fruit of the bikurim. You take a fruit, you say this should be truma, this should be meiser, this should be meiser rishon, this should be meiser sheni, meiser ani, everything. You take from those fruit. Why? Because perhaps it's not bikurim. If it's bikurim, it's potter. But if it's not bikurim, you chayiv in trumas and meisers. But now if you're going to read the psukim, you're going to fool everybody. You're going to fool yourself, and you think it's really bikurim. That's not chayiv in trumas and meisers. That's why I tell you, listen, go to the Beis HaMikdash, don't read the psukim. People are going to say, hey, you're supposed to say the psukim now, and you'd say, no, I can't read the psukim because I don't know if it's 100% bikurim, and that will remind you, oh, it's not 100% bikurim. Let me take trumas and meisers now, just in case it's not bikurim. Higdilu lo yishapa. So we learned that if the trees grew, you buy a tree, 5 years later you have a giant branch, lo yishapa. The seller cannot cut the branches if it's only 2 trees. Says the Gemara, and what else do we learn? That whatever comes out of the roots belongs to the seller. Whatever that comes out of the actual trunk of the tree belongs to the buyer. So the Gemara just says, I need to know what it means. What's a trunk? What's a root? What's the exact gather of these things? Very, very simple. Anything that's underground is a root. So if it grows off the root, comes up, that wood belongs to the seller. Anything that comes up off the trunk, 1 inch off the ground, above the ground, is the buyer's. Now, as I was reading this, I would just want to share one machshava, a very simple machshava, but I think once in a while it's kedai. We have 100 Yidden that were kidnapped almost a year ago, 11 months ago. 100 Yidden that perhaps loy ro pnei chama. They haven't seen the sun in 11 months. So once in a while we have to remember them. Remember, daven for them, learn. Right now we can learn. L'schusam. They should stay sane and they should see the chama immediately. Amen. And another thing is that if you go a little weiter, a lot of people think that they were kidnapped on Simchas Torah, when in fact they were. But when did it happen? On Rosh Hashanah. That's when HaKadosh Baruch Hu decided this whole thing should happen. So as we approach Rosh Hashanah, we should remember that. Rosh Hashanah is when everything is nigzar, parnasa, and all the other stuff. Zog the Gemara. So ask the Gemara a very interesting thing, and we have a nice chart that Yoshi made for this. Very simple. What are you telling me? That 1 inch above the ground, 1 centimeter above ground, that the sun sees it, anything that comes out of the bark is the buyer's. This could cause issues. If you told me 1 foot above ground, okay. But you're telling me even 1 inch above the ground, that could lead to problems. Why? Maybe the wind will blow a bunch of dirt and will cover the roots. And it'll say, you sold me 3 trees. This liara, and if I own 3 trees, what does that do? That gives me all the land below the 3 trees. If it's only 2 trees, I don't get any land. I only owe trees. And if the tree dies, I can't even plant another one. But if I own 3 trees, now I get all the land underneath. Now, how exactly does this look? So I told Yoshi on Motzi Shabbos, I said I would like you to do X, Y, Z, and I think he did a phenomenal job. From just hearing what I told him, from a voice note, to execution took him less than an hour. And here a guy bought a tree. Now, if in fact anything that comes out of the bark of the tree, even 1 inch from the ground, is the buyer's, look what could happen. What if a branch comes out horizontally, not vertically, horizontally? It's like a bench almost, but it's very, very close to the ground. I've seen trees like that, a very long branch. And then all of a sudden, it shoots up to the sky. The last part is a little, whatever. He could have done it nicer. Where fine. Now on the other side, same exact thing. Out of that branch, the branch starts shooting upwards. Then comes a storm and does this, covers it with dirt. So when you look at it from the side, it looks like there's 1, 2, 3 trees, when in fact it's one tree, it's a branch out of a tree. And that's going to cause issues because people are going to say, hey, it's my land. Huh? It brings it to, because when you read it, it's like, well, what exactly happened there? Sirtan, I don't get it. Dirt. No, I think also if like a branch comes out of the bottom, starts going straight up, the dirt is not going to help that. I think it has to go horizontally, then up. Okay.
At the bottom, they go up, and then the earth covers it up. So anyway, they look like two.
How much dirt is that?
Depends how far the shoot.
Okay, yeah, everything, it could happen. This is the Saber Seinayim, just to give you an idea of what exactly how it happened, then you'll figure it out yourself. Elamar of Nachman, you're right, Yakuts. The buyer, when this happens, when these shoots happen, we force him to cut them down. The buyer has to cut them down. He gets to keep it. It's his, because it came out of the trunk. But don't allow it to exist, because if you allow it to exist, then he'll lie later on and say, I bought 3 trees and I own all the dirt underneath. He has to chop it down. Oh, Rav Nachman. Rav Nachman comes and says a riddle. Naktinon, 4 words. Dekel ein lo geza. A palm tree doesn't have a trunk. Now, if you look around, I've seen a lot of palm trees in my life. I've seen that they have trunks. A palm tree has a trunk. So what in the world is he saying? Palm tree doesn't have a trunk. Obviously, he came to say something chashuv. Savar azvid lemeimar ein lo geza lebal dekel. The kivin that if something comes out of the trunk, you don't get to keep it. You, the buyer, you don't have a trunk. Anything that comes out of the trunk is nothing. The kivin de lemichbar l'sharishkai, since eventually this palm tree is going to be uprooted from its source, it's going to die, and you're going to have nothing left. You're just going to have to chop it down. Asuchi masach daite, says Rav Zvid, that you don't even care about these offshoots, these little branches that come out of the palm tree, because you're not even thinking about them. You're thinking that eventually you're going to have to chop down the whole tree anyway. So you give up on those branches. But it says in the Mishnah that if a person purchases 2 trees, it doesn't say what kind of trees in the Mishnah. It says trees. In trees is included a palm tree. In the Mishnah it talks about a palm tree, and we just said a palm tree is something that you think to yourself, you're going to have to cut it down. But it says, yesh legeza. You get everything that comes out of the trunk. So how come you're telling me you don't ain't like geza? A palm tree doesn't have a trunk, when in fact in the Mishnah it doesn't make a distinction between a palm tree and a cedar tree and a sycamore tree. They're all the same. You have a geza. Anything that comes out of the trunk, you get to keep. Elamar Papa. This is very dakisdik this sugya, that they seem to be saying very, very similar things, but slightly different. Elamar Papa. Ein legeza lebal dekel lefisha ein moitzi geza. So he says, Razvid was saying that once in a while you can have a branch coming out of a palm tree, which I've in my lifetime never seen. I'm not a big palm tree guy, so I don't know. But Lu Yitzuri once in a while comes out, he's Masir Das. Rav Papa says, no, it just doesn't happen. It's impossible. You don't have a thing coming out. So basically, what he's saying is that a tree, a regular tree, when the top dies, let's say, you cut it, and then it starts growing again. But it'll grow always from the top. Here, there's a very fascinating video. I thought it's interesting. It says over here, you have to look at the date. 2022, right next to it says 428. You see how it says 428? And over here, it's, what is it called when they do this, the speed up thing? Time lapse, thank you. So look at those dates, it's very interesting. You could see there's a palm tree growing. That part will grow on the top. But once you cut that part, then the tree never grows again. What did it start? 428? So it's 528 is about a month. Boom. Month and a little bit, month and a week. Great. It grows from the top, and only from the top, and not from the side. So Mamela, that's what he means. You're not going to get anything from the side. We have the same question we said before, that from the Mishnah, it seems like even a palm tree, the Mishnah doesn't differentiate between a palm tree and a regular tree. It's all trees. And according to Rav Nachman, we said you don't get any of these offshoots. Rav Zvid explains because Amiyayesh, but at the end of the day, the Mishnah doesn't make a distinction between a palm tree and a not a palm tree. According to the Mishnah, you should get those branches. According to Rav Papa, it makes sense. Rav Papa says it just doesn't happen. So it's not in the Mishnah. The Mishnah is talking about trees that could have branches, and the Mishnah says you get all the branches. What about a palm tree? Says Rav Papa, it doesn't happen on a palm tree, so it's not in the Mishnah. It's not included. But according to Rav Zvid, it could happen on a palm tree. Just what? He has Yush. Ask the Gemara, but the Mishnah says all trees you get the branches. It doesn't say, but there's some trees that you have Yush. There's no Yush, nothing. Says Gemara, no, the fact the Mishnah says that you do get a branch, and sometimes Rav Zvid says you don't get, or the Gemara says you don't get, because the difference is, if I sold it to you for a very specific time, I'm telling you, you have this for 5 years, so during those 5 years, if it dies, you'll plant another one, and Memela, then you're not miyayish. Rav Zvid's whole thing is, if a branch comes out, I'm going to give up on it. No, not if it's a very specific, predetermined time. You get 5 years. In those 5 years, I'm not going to be miyayish. That's why the Mishnah says there's no distinction between a palm tree and another tree. All trees, I get the branches, including palm trees. What kind of palm tree? A palm tree that I know exactly how much time I have left. But a regular palm tree that there is no 5 years or 2 years or whatever it is, then I give up on it, like Rav Zvid says. Zok the Gemara, Kona Shleisha, Kona Karka. He said in the Mishnah, if you purchase 3 trees from somebody middle of his field, then you get to keep all the land. Vikama. How much land do you get to keep? Says the Gemara, Hareze Omar Here, take a look at this chart. You bought 3 trees. You get directly underneath the tree. Ubeineim, beautiful. Look what he did. He took the art scroll, but he improved it a little bit. Beineim, you draw a line between around those 3 circles, and now you get Beineim. All the land in between that, in the triangle. But not only that, you get a little bit more than that. V'chutzulahen, and a little bit around those red circles, as much as it takes a person to go pick dates, here, take a look, figs, get a little bit purple, that gives you, it extends a little bit the area so you could go nicely with your basket. Here's a guy, I just found a picture of a guy picking, this looks like apples almost, I thought it was figs, now I think they're apples. Here's a guy picking figs, it just says here on the bottom, it's interesting, that these figs have some sort of, moisture on the, and they're very irritating to the skin. So they get all dressed up and you got to protect your skin. So here's a guy. You need room for this guy to walk around. How much room? That purple area is the room that this guy is able to pick. Now, I can tell you, why do I owe you room? I sold you a fig tree. Go break your head. Go on the tree itself. Sit on the tree and go like this. Mechtes have to give you land around it. No. I'm giving you land around it. Now, what does that remind us? I'm giving you a little extra land around it. What is that? So, we say that a person doesn't even have a path. Why not? We should see this over and over from the tops. These are from the big ones. Person doesn't have a pathway, so he has to jump into the pool like that. So the oilam asks, how does he get out of the pool? Mordikikasha. So for that we also have a thing. Okay, so if he doesn't have a path, so we're going to give him area to pick dates or figs off a tree or whatever it is, pomegranates off a tree. Oh, sponsor. Hold on. So just to remind the oilam, let's just finish this real quickly. There's a lot of detail here. Here, Rabbi Kiva says, Moicher ba'in yafa. Chacham say Moicher ba'in ra. And now, if you look at their eyes, this guy's bad eyes. This guy has good eyes. Ayin ra. Not so giving. Sponsored. Pei Beis Amud Beis. Sponsored by Yaakov Citron and Citron Films. And not only does he go on our trip and works like a dog the whole entire time, but he also pays us to do it. And Leilu Nishmas, the 6 hostages that died, Akish Hashem got killed actually a week and a half ago. When was it? And Avi said he's going to give me the number to call to be Menachem Oval, Hirsch's at least, someone. I got whatever. It was a mistake. I should have worked harder to go there. So the Gemara explains, you don't even have a pathway. It's not your land. It's owned by the seller. So he's going to have area there to pick the figs. Now we go off a little bit. We can learn from here that when a person buys 3 trees, he does not get, right? It's counterintuitive. When you buy less, you get more. When you buy more, you get less. So if you purchase 3 trees. Now, 3 trees includes the land underneath, but it does not include a way to get to your trees. It doesn't include a pathway. If you buy the lesser amount, the 2, so you don't get the land, but you do get a way to get to your trees. Why? Look, I purchased trees. They're in your land. I need to get to there, so you have to give me a way. And now we're going a little bit out of the way to understand this Rebbe Elazar. Yeah, it says Rebbe Elazar, but Rebbe Elazar doesn't always mean a Tana. In this case, it means an Amira, because we're talking about a Talmud of Shmuel. Shmuel is from the first Amirai, and his Talmud is definitely an Amira. But because they lived in Eretz Yisrael and they had smicha, so sometimes they were called Rebbe. It's not to be confused with the Rebbe Elazar the Tana. Rebbe Elazar less than the Shmuel Rebbe. How's it possible that a Talmud argues with his own Rebbe? What's the problem? From the fact that Rebbe Elazar asks, right, the first line on the Amud, Hasha derech ein loi, he asks the question, how does he doesn't even have a pathway. Meaning, why don't you have a pathway? Because you hold ayin ra. He didn't sell it with a pathway. But wait a minute. By the way, I want to mention, it's kedai to be aware a little bit. This morning I was learning. I feel it in my pocket ringing. That's why I'm mentioning it. So I was in the middle of learning, and a lot of these alerts went off. And I looked, and it said, like, places that usually you don't hear an alert, like Givatayim, Lud, what's going on. And all of a sudden, there's a massive explosion. Massive. Those who were up heard it. Those who were sleeping out. It was really loud. It sounded like it was in our neighborhood. It turns out that there was a surface-to-surface missile that came from Yemen and actually fell in Lud, in an open area. And they're saying that the explosion that we heard is the arrow that actually missed it. But I'm saying this because if during Shir, Chas v'Shalom, there's an alarm, so I'm just asking the Olam to calmly exit and find the nearest shelter, bomb shelter, or even a staircase, not the one here from MDY, because that's very flimsy. You go to one of the buildings, you go underneath the staircase, or there's other things. But chas v'shalom, not to push your way out, because that's where a lot of problems happen. When people get panic and they push each other, and there's elderly and there's young kids here. So I'm just trying to preempt if chas v'shalom that ever happens. Says the Gemara, Lema Rebbe Elazar Leslie Shmuel Rabbi. Domar Shmuel Alocha Rebbe Kiva. Domar Ba'in Yava Moicher. Shmuel passes like Rebbe Kiva that a person sells generously. So if he sells generously, he gives him a pathway. It can't. The reason why he said that, because our Mishnah can't go like Rebbe Kiva. Memai. And the Gemara is going to say it could go like Rebbe Kiva. And if it could go like Rebbe Kiva, then it shows that Rebbe Elazar actually doesn't hold like Shmuel is Rebbe. That's interesting. That's a little bit of a cheshbon that happens afterwards. We're not going to go into it. I just said it azoi. But Amalei lo betukim asnisin Rebbe Kiva. Our Mishnah can't go like Rebbe Kiva. Memai mediktani higdilu yishapa. If the tree chaval, I want to show, especially to Noam who wasn't here last night. I'm serious. We had a video of this, and the Olam left. Okay, it's not in here. Dave, I don't know, maybe Dave, Dave is very good at this. Could you, Dave is not. Avrem is also, I don't know, I've never seen you do it, but I'm sure you know how to do it. If you could go into yesterday's shir and pull out the clip that the artist did with the house, It starts off, you'll see it's just a house with a white picket fence and there's a branch going into the window. So that's what we're talking about over here, Betzim. And let me know when it's on. Actually, you can just throw it on the screen by your own and the Olam will tell me. According to Rabbi Kiva, that a person's very large and he just gives and gives. So if I sell you a tree and then it grew a branch 5 years later and the branch went into your house, I get, you know what? I'm large. Why does he have the right to chop it down? I sold you all the rights, even if the branches later on destroy things and do all sorts of crazy stuff, which the Achronim ask, or no, actually the Rishonim. Moicher b'ayin yafa should mean that today, when I sell you today what I have today. I give you a pathway, I give you. But it's not a free-for-all that in 5 years from now something's going to happen and that I also sold you. Something that doesn't exist today. Okay, they discuss it. What? Yeah, on Mazik. We're talking about only Mazik. That's what we're talking about here. Mazik. By the way, I told one of the guests, and he's here today, I told him, don't worry, we're going to have Reb Nachman Seltzer, but I have to call him, and I forgot to call him. So somebody either call him or...
Message him on Friday.
Oh, you did message?
Oh, somebody was looking for him. He should be here on Sunday.
Okay, so the reason he's not here is the...
He responded.
He's right. Okay, fine. He has something going on then. Or maybe he's not in the country, I don't know.
Nice piece of mishpacha this week.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Nice piece of mishpacha. Okay, shout out to Reb Nachman and mishpacha. You didn't say that when he wrote up my story about the airport and the guy from Milal, but that wasn't so nice. Oh, he's like, no. Oh, so now the Gemara makes a beautiful nafkamina. When does Rabbi Kiva say, I give you, I'm large? When it doesn't cause problems, it's not mazik. You could have my pathway. You're not gonna harm me. Okay, so you come in once in a while. That's not a harmful thing. Some large. That applies to a barn, a dus, to a well. Great. It doesn't ruin the land. But when it comes to a tree that causes damage, you got it? Avremi, you got it? What? Yeah.
He was too busy putting stickers on his car last night. He missed the whole...
Wow. This picture. I showed this picture of a Tesla. This is like the top of the top. It doesn't get any... MDY twice. So don't think that it said MDY because somebody found the MDY also in the middle of Germany somewhere. There was no chefs that was sheer. This guy bought it. Plus he has all the stickers and all the magnets. So I bothered Avremi because when I came up here, he usually has MDY thing on his Tesla, and I saw it's off and 2 Atzala stickers. It's the kid said he changed colors, it's gewaldig. So he ran out and he did a lot of tshuva. During Shir, they popped on the screen his car with all a bunch of stickers he took from the kitchen. He did tshuva. Listen, you let out, it's mamish before it's Elul. So that's what Avi meant to say. I call upon a vaifen, the picket fence. So, Moida. When it comes to a tree that causes damage, here's the picture. Where was it? Here. Here's a field on the bottom. There's a field. I'm plowing my field. Now, the trees are not owned by me. The trees are my neighbors. It's causing me damage. I can't plow. You have these low-hanging trees. What am I going to do? I'm permitted to cut it to the red line over there. You see the red line? To the height of my whipping stick that causes my animal to move, I'm allowed to cut everything. It's a tree. It's a b'ayin yafa. There is no ayin yafa. When it comes to my damage, no ayin yafa. Okay, fine. So the bottom line is, if you look at the Rashbam, like 6 lines in, and he says, La'olam, Leslie, the Shmuel Rabbi. In fact, if you do the whole calculation here, since our Mishnah could go like Rabbi Kiva, because Rabbi Kiva is not discussing Ayin Yafa when it comes to a tree. So Mela, when Rabbi Lazar asked the question, he says he doesn't have a derech. Oh, here it is. Here's not that. No, I'm sorry. It wasn't the white picket fence. You are right. It's the brown picket fence. Okay, my bad. So here's that little video. This is only for Noam. You guys don't have to laugh again. It's fine. Here's a tree. If you look closely, you'll see the branch of the tree goes into the guy's window. Okay. That's Yashva. Okay, Gewaldig. So, Tanka was say the Rebbe Varabo. We asked the question, how much land, if a person purchases 3 trees, how much land does he get? He gets below the trees, then you do the circle around it, then you do a little bit of the purple and get a little bit more, so you can go comfortably and pick the fruit. Let's just show it again because we're just jumping right now in a little bit into that sugya. So here, this is where it is. He gets the red circles, tachtayim, he gets the blue, which is this, plus he gets a little purple. Now the question is beautiful. The purple. What's the purple? The purple is it's the ability for the owner of the trees, the guy that purchased the trees, to go pick the fruit around the tree. A number of people have told me, even a guy told me yesterday, that he listens to the shir on a podcast. I'm like, it's great, I appreciate it, but when I say purple, how do you understand what I'm talking about? It's a visual shir. There's a lot of stuff that refer back to the videos and the thing, and he's driving, and he said he wants to be safe. Okay, I hear that. I don't want to, be goyim anything. So actually, there's an email. I got an email. I didn't read it. Huh? No. You can't go. No. You have to do. No. You have to make your style this monty. You can't go crazy. But a guy wrote to me. He was watching the shir, and he was like, "Good morning, Rabbi." And this guy goes, "Beep." He jolted back, and he realized he's going the wrong direction. He turned on the shir, and "Good morning, Rabbi." He went in the wrong direction. Okay, you got to be careful. Okay, so this purple, what's the point of this purple? This area that's extended, that he gives him the right to pick the fruit. Is it his to pick the fruit once a year, or it's his, and if he wants to plant cucumbers and tomatoes on the purple, he could do so. Who gets the plant over there? We have a Mishnah later on, Daf Samach Tes or something. I believe that's Tzadik Tes. I believe that's Rosh Hashanah's Daf, or every Rosh Hashanah, Mamish, right over there. Every Rosh Hashanah. Going to be one of the most fun days of all time. 3 shiurim somehow, with recording 3 shiurim in Hebrew and in English. Gewaldig. Kol hakavod. So, it says over there, this is the case. Let's just see it real quickly. Very, very pashut. Maybe we could have done this a little better. Not this one, sorry. This one. What you see over here is 2 fields owned by 2 people, divided, separated by a white picket fence. Now, how do I get to the top field? I own the top field. How do I get there? I make a pathway right through my friend's bottom field. Shua and Shamshi. I go in there. I bought it from him. I get to go in there. So, but in that path, that dirt path, who gets to plant? I get to walk there, but do I get to plant there? The answer is no. Hachitza in Zeraya. That's haderech. The guy on the bottom, it's his. Let him plant some tomatoes. You want to step and smush the tomatoes and have tomato juice on your shoes? That's your thing. What's the connection? Over there, the guy on top, so he stepped on some tomatoes, didn't cause him any harm. But over here, if the purple, let's go back to the purple. If the purple is owned by the seller, now I have a tree and my figs, let's say, fall off the tree and fall into the purple. What's in the purple? Your tomatoes. So now my figs hit your tomatoes and it ruins my figs. I don't want tomato fig juice. I want figs. You're ruining it for me. You're ruining my thing. It's different when I have a tree than just walking. You're ruining my fruit. Now, if you want to compare it, great. You picked the right Mishnah, but the wrong part of the Mishnah. Here's what it's similar to. What if a guy, the Bezin said, the pathway is not in the center. The pathway is on the side, like that. In that case, nobody could plant over there. And that's what's, our mission is like that. When I have the right to walk on the purple, to pick the fruit, no one could plant there. Not the buyer, not the seller. Einon, Rishoim, Lazara, no one could plant. Rabbi Sai, have a wonderful day.